Hello everybody, this is AK. I'm back. So if you have been following me for a long time, you'll know that I seem to have a soft spot for OCBC. Well, it's not really a soft spot, but it's just that OCBC to me for a long time it looked a lot cheaper than DBS and UOB, and it's not just in terms of dollar value per share, but it looked relatively undervalued compared to DBS and UOB, right? In terms of price to book, in terms of dividend yield, that kind of stuff, it just looked more attractive, right? So up to now, because of how I've been adding to my investment in OCBC over time, a lot more than DBS and UOB. My investment in OCBC is about the same size as my investments in DBS and UOB put together, right? And till today, I'm still adding to my investment in OCBC, and I recently added again, right? When the share price dropped under $15 per share because of Donald Trump's tariffs, right? And the market went into a tailspin. And in two recent videos, I actually said I'll add again to my investment in OCBC if Mr. Market should go into another depression, and if Mr. Market decided to sell more OCBC shares at lower prices. And I gave some price targets in those two videos. In the earlier video, which was dedicated to OCBC and OCBC alone, I said I'll probably be buying more at $14 and $13 per share, and I also say there'll be intermediate supports at $14.50 and $13.50 because it's either every $1 and then there's a strong support at every $1 decline, and there's also intermediate supports at every 50 cents decline, right? And I'm quite serious about that, right? So in last night's video, I actually said if OCBC should go to $14, I'll buy more. So I was just repeating myself. And like I said, I'm quite serious about that. But then why, right? So, remember in an interview that I gave to Fifth Person, I cannot, was it last year or earlier this year? One of the interviews anyway, I said that, banks, when Adam asked me whether the banks are my favorite investments, right now, and I told him yes. And of course, if you've been following me for a long time, you'll know why. Banks are great investments for income, and they are also great investments for steady growth, right? So it's perfect for a person like me, a retiree who, I make a living by investing for income, right? So the dividends are what pays for my lifestyle, right? Which is pretty modest, but that's another topic, right? So, and they'll grow at the same time, and they don't have to come back to shareholders asking for more money to grow, unlike real estate investment trusts, right? Because they retain 50% or 40% of their earnings for growth, right? So it's very attractive to me, right? And I said also when Adam asked me, when would I buy more banking stocks, and I said, well, I like to buy when there's a bargain, and definitely we had several occasions when we could buy banking stocks on the cheap. And what do I mean by on the cheap? And basically we could buy $1 with 90 cents, that kind of stuff, right? So I mean, that's basically paying a price that's below the book value of a bank, right? And I did that back in 2016 with DBS at about $13 to $14 per share, right? That was when I bought a big chunk of DBS. Until today, I'm still holding on to the investments. I even used my money in the SRS account to do it. And then later I bought some OCBC shares. And then during the pandemic, I decided to get more OCBC shares through its dividend reinvestment plan. I think that at that time the share price was like $7 something per share. And then of course during the pandemic I bought a big chunk of my of UOB, and that was when I became an investor in UOB, about $200,000 worth of UOB shares, and that was $19 per share, right? So during these times of crisis, we could buy the banking stocks very cheap, right? Bank stocks traded at below book value, and whenever you see a situation like this, you know, Singapore banks trading at below book value, you just whack, right? And I also said, you know, even if they were to be trading at 1x book value, is cheap, just whack. Right? So when I say $14 per share for OCBC, it's not just from a technical analysis perspective, but also from a fundamental analysis perspective. $14 would be about 1x current day book value, right? About 1x current day book value. So at 14, if it ever goes to $14, I'll buy more, right? But of course, because as I remember how I bought more stocks of UOB at DBS at below book value in the past, I would keep some powder dry, right? So I wouldn't deplete my war chest at 1x book value. I would keep some powder dry, and if share price should go below 1x book value, and for OCBC's case, like I say, if it should go down to $13 or even $13.50, that's when I'll buy a lot more. Right, so this is an important point to make for some people, because some people might be wondering, how am I pacing my my purchases for OCBC, for example? You know, how am I going to pace it? So basically, let's say if I have a $200,000 war chest, I might use a quarter or 1/3 of it when if OCBC trades at 1x book value, and if it goes under 1x book value, you know, let's say another 5% decline below book value or 10% decline below book value, that's when I'll deploy the rest of the money, right? So that's the plan. And if we look at OCBC's share price today, I say, wow, the share price has recovered already. AK has made money from on his recent purchase. So, well, and you wonder, did I miss the boat? Well, the thing is, I can't tell you whether we have missed the boat, you know, if we didn't buy back when it was under $15 recently. But looking at, if I were to look at history, there could be a chance, there's a chance that we could retest the lows, the recent low, and which means that we could see OCBC going below $15 again, right? There is a chance. And then because the market seems to be shuffling around right now, and if that chance comes back, you know, the boat comes back, then it retests the low that we saw. I think it was at $14.40 was the recent low. That would be a chance to buy again, right? And then if it goes back up after the test, then that's basically a double bottom pattern, which would be a reversal pattern. But we don't know whether it's going to be a double bottom or a triple bottom, or if the bottom will fall out and price goes lower. So that's why I say, you know, if there should be a retest, then that's like 1x book value. I'll deploy some of the money in my war chest, but I won't throw in everything, including the kitchen sink. I'll keep some powder dry. And the same applies to the other two banks as well as Alibaba, right? So these are the stocks which I'm interested to add and to increase exposure to. So I hope this video has been somehow useful, right? If AK can talk to himself, so can you. Bye-bye.